Just take my dog." She begged the rich cowboy, whispered, "You stay too." Clara shoved the puppy into the stranger's arms. "Take him, please. Just take him and let me die." The man behind her laughed. His hand closed around her throat and slammed her against the ranch gate. "You think you can run from me? You think anyone will save you?" The stranger did not move. He looked at the puppy. He looked at the woman choking in front of him. Then he pulled his gun and pressed it against the man's temple. "Let her go. You don't know what she is. She's a thief. She belongs to me. I don't care what she is. I said let her go." Before we continue this incredible story, I invite you to subscribe to the channel and follow Clara's journey to the very end. Comment below with the city you are watching from so I can see how far this story has traveled. Victor squeezed harder. Clara's vision went black at the edges. The stranger's voice dropped to a whisper. "I'm going to count to 3. 1. You won't shoot. You don't have the guts. 2. Victor's grip tightened. Clara stopped breathing. 3. The gunshot exploded next to Victor's ear. He screamed and released Clara instantly. She collapsed into the mud, gasping, clawing at her throat. "You're insane!" Victor stumbled backward, clutching his bleeding ear. "You shot me. I grazed you. Next one goes through your skull. Get off my land." Victor pointed at Clara with a shaking finger. "This isn't over. I'll come back. I'll bring men. I'll burn this whole place down." "Looking forward to it." Victor ran. His horse thundered into the darkness. The stranger watched until the sound faded completely. Clara still lay in the mud. She could not move. 3 days of running, no food, no sleep. Her body had finally given up. "Get up!" she tried. Her legs refused. "I can't." The stranger crouched beside her. His face was hard. His eyes were grey and empty. "You planning to die in my mud?" "I don't care where I die, just take the dog. His name is Biscuit. He's good. He won't cause trouble. Please." "Why should I?" "Because you're the only person who's shown me kindness in 8 months. Because that animal is all I have left of my husband. Because if Victor gets him, he'll kill him just to hurt me." The stranger was quiet for a long moment. The puppy squirmed in his arms and licked his chin. "Your husband, dead, 8 months, consumption. And Victor, his brother, he says I owe him. He says I'm part of the inheritance." Something flickered in the stranger's eyes, something dark. "Can you walk if I help you?" "I don't know." He grabbed her arm and pulled her up. She weighed nothing. He could feel every bone through her skin. "Put your arm around my neck." "Why are you helping me?" "I'm not helping you. I'm making sure you don't die on my property. Dead bodies attract attention." Clara almost laughed. Almost. "You're not very good at being kind." "I'm not trying to be kind. Move your feet." She moved. 1 step. 2. Her legs screamed with pain, but she kept moving because the stranger's grip was steady and strong, and she had forgotten what it felt like to be held up instead of pushed down. Inside the cabin, warmth hit her like a wall. A fire burned in the hearth. The stranger set her in a chair and dropped a blanket around her shoulders. "Stay here." He disappeared into another room. The puppy jumped from his arms and ran to Clara, climbing into her lap, licking her face. She held him tight and cried without sound. The stranger returned with a bowl. Steam rose from it. He shoved it into her hands. "Eat." Clara stared at the food. Her stomach cramped violently. "What do you want from me?" "I want you to eat so you don't die in my cabin. That's all I want." "Men always want something." "I'm not most men. Eat." She ate. The stew was simple. Meat, potatoes, salt. But it was the first hot meal she'd had in weeks. Tears streamed down her face as she swallowed. The stranger sat across from her. He still hadn't removed his coat. His gun was still within reach. "What's your name?" Clara Whitmore. I'm Samuel. Thank you, Samuel, for saving my life. Don't thank me yet. You're leaving tomorrow. Clara nodded. Of course, nothing was free. I understand. Good. Silence stretched between them. The fire crackled. Biscuit snored softly in Clara's lap. She studied the stranger's face. Hard lines, hollow cheeks, eyes that had seen too much. You live here alone? Yes. For how long? Long enough. Why? Samuel's jaw tightened. That's not your business. You're right. I'm sorry. More silence. Clara finished the stew and set the bowl aside. The warmth was finally seeping into her bones. For the first time in days, she felt almost human. There's a bed in the back room, Samuel said. Take it. Where will you sleep? I don't sleep much. Clara stood slowly. Her legs still trembled, but they held. She walked toward the back room, then stopped. He'll come back. Victor. He always comes back. He has money. He has connections. He won't stop until he has me. That's your problem, not mine. I know. I just wanted you to understand. I didn't mean to bring trouble to your door. I was just looking for someone to take Biscuit. I was going to leave him and keep running. And now I'm too tired to run. Samuel looked at her for a long moment. Something passed across his face. Something that might have been pity or recognition. Get some sleep, Clara. We'll figure out the rest tomorrow. She nodded and disappeared into the back room. The door closed behind her. Samuel sat alone by the fire. He poured himself a whiskey and drank it in one swallow. Then he poured another. 3 years. 3 years since he'd spoken to anyone. 3 years since he'd touched another person. 3 years since Mary died and took everything good with her. And now this woman was in his cabin. This broken, desperate woman with her dying dog and her monster chasing her. He should throw her out. He should let Victor have her. It wasn't his fight. It wasn't his problem. But he kept seeing Mary's face. Mary, in those final days, weak and fading, begging him to keep living after she was gone. Promise me, Samuel. Promise me you won't waste this life. He had promised. And then he had broken that promise every single day for 3 years. He poured another whiskey and cursed the universe for sending this woman to his door. 2 hours later, Clara screamed. Samuel was on his feet before the sound finished echoing. He kicked open the back room door, gun drawn. Clara sat upright in bed, drenched in sweat, her eyes wild with terror. Biscuit was barking frantically. What happened? He was here, Victor. He was standing over me. He had a knife. She stopped, looked around, realized where she was. It was a dream, just a dream. Samuel lowered his gun. You're safe. He's not here. He's always here. Every time I close my eyes, he's there. Samuel hesitated. He should leave. Go back to the fire. This wasn't his problem. But Clara was shaking so hard the bed frame rattled, and the fear in her eyes was too real to ignore. He sat on the edge of the bed. Tell me about him. Victor. Tell me everything. Clara wiped her face with trembling hands. Why? Because if I'm going to fight him, I need to know what I'm dealing with. Fight him. You said I was leaving tomorrow. I changed my mind. Clara stared at him. Why? I don't know. Don't ask me again. She was quiet for a long moment. Then she began to speak. My husband's name was Thomas. We were married for 4 years. He was kind, gentle. Nothing like his brother. When he got sick, I nursed him for 2 years.
I sold everything we had to pay for doctors, but nothing worked. He died in my arms on a Tuesday morning."
Her voice cracked. Samuel said nothing. He just waited. Victor came to the funeral. He told me Thomas owed him money, gambling debts. He said the farm, the house, everything belonged to him now, including me, including you. He said I could work off the debt. He made it very clear what kind of work he meant. Samuel's hands curled into fists. "And you ran?" "Not at first. I tried to fight. I went to the sheriff. But Victor owns the sheriff. I went to the bank. Victor owns the bank. I went to the church. The pastor told me to pray and submit to God's will." She laughed bitterly. "So I ran. I took Biscuit and what little money I had hidden, and I ran. That was 3 weeks ago. And he's been chasing you ever since. He caught me twice. The first time I escaped when he was drunk. The second time I hit him with a bottle and ran into the woods. This is the third time. This is the third. If he catches me again, there won't be a fourth."
Samuel stood. He walked to the window and looked out at the darkness.
"How many men does he have?"
"Money buys as many men as he needs. 5, 10, 20, it doesn't matter. It matters. 5 is different from 20. Why do you care?" Samuel turned to face her. "My wife died 3 years ago. Fever took her. I watched her suffer for weeks. I held her hand when she took her last breath, and I couldn't do a damn thing to save her." Clara's face softened. "I'm sorry. I came out here to die. That's the truth. I wanted to drink myself into the grave and join her, but she made me promise something before she went. She made me promise I wouldn't waste this life." "And have you wasted it?" "Every single day, until tonight." He met her eyes. "I can't save Mary, but maybe I can save you. Maybe that counts for something." Clara shook her head. "You'll die. He has too many men." "Maybe, but at least I'll die fighting."
"That's better than what I've been doing." "You don't even know me." "I know enough. I know you nursed a dying man for 2 years. I know you ran to save a dog that wasn't even yours. I know you were going to give yourself up to save a stranger. That tells me everything I need to know about who you are." Tears spilled down Clara's cheeks. "Nobody's ever fought for me before." "Then it's about time someone did." The sound of hoofbeats shattered the moment. Samuel was at the window before Clara could speak. Through the darkness, torches appeared. 1, 2, 5, 7. "He's here," Clara whispered. "Oh, God, he's here!" Samuel grabbed his rifle from the wall. "How did he find us so fast?" "I don't know. He always finds me. It's like he can smell my fear." "Get in the cellar. There's a trapdoor under the rug. Take the dog. Don't come out until I tell you." "What are you going to do?" "What I should have done 3 years ago. Fight!" Clara grabbed his arm. "There are too many." "You can't." "I didn't ask for your opinion. Get in the cellar. Now." She hesitated. Their eyes met. Something passed between them that neither could name. "Come back," she whispered. "Please, come back." "I'll try." Samuel walked to the front door. He checked his rifle. He checked his pistol. He said a silent prayer to Mary. Then he opened the door and stepped onto the porch. Victor sat on his horse at the edge of the torchlight. His ear was bandaged. His eyes burned with hatred. "You made a mistake, stranger. A very big mistake." "I've made a lot of mistakes. This isn't one of them. Give me the woman. This doesn't have to end in blood. It already ended in blood. Your ear, remember. Victor's face twisted with rage. You think you're funny. You think this is a joke. I have 7 men with me. You have nothing. I have a rifle and a clear conscience. That's more than you can say. Last chance. Give me the woman or we burn this place to the ground.
Samuel raised his rifle. Come and take her! The first shot came from Victor's left. Samuel ducked and fired back. A man screamed and fell from his horse. 6 left. More shots. Wood splintered around Samuel's head. He rolled behind a barrel and returned fire. Another man fell. 5. Rush him! Victor screamed. He's just one man! 3 riders charged the cabin. Samuel took down 2 before they reached the porch. The third crashed through the front door. Samuel met him with a knife to the throat. 4 left, including Victor. Smoke filled the air. Someone had thrown a torch through the window. The curtains caught fire. Flames spread across the wall. Samuel ran for the back door. He had to lead them away from Clara, had to give her a chance to escape. But Victor was already there. "Hello, stranger!" The blow came from behind. Samuel's vision exploded into stars. He hit the ground hard. His rifle skittered away. Victor stood over him, a bloody pipe in his hands.
Not so tough now, are you? Samuel spat blood. Tough enough to kill 4 of your men. And not tough enough to save her. She's mine. She's always been mine. And now you get to watch me take her. Victor turned toward the cabin. The fire was spreading fast. Smoke poured from every window. Clara, Victor called out. Come out, come out. Your hero is down. It's over. Inside the cabin, Clara heard everything. She crouched in the cellar. Biscuit pressed against her chest, tears streaming down her face. Samuel was down. The cabin was burning. Victor had won. She had 2 choices: stay hidden and burn, or go out and face her monster. She thought of Thomas, of his gentle hands and kind eyes, of the promise she had made at his grave. "I'll survive," she had whispered, "no matter what. I'll survive." Clara pushed open the trap door. Smoke filled her lungs. She coughed and crawled toward the back door. Victor stood over Samuel's body. He didn't see her, didn't hear her.
She picked up Samuel's fallen rifle. "Victor!" He turned. His eyes went wide. "You wouldn't try me." She pulled the trigger. The bullet missed. Clara's hands were shaking too hard. The shot went wide and buried itself in the wall behind Victor's head. He laughed. "You stupid woman! You can't even shoot straight." Clara pulled the trigger again. Click. Empty. Victor walked toward her slowly. "Did you really think you could kill me, you?" The woman who cried every time Thomas raised his voice. "Stay back, or what, you'll throw the rifle at me." He grabbed the barrel and ripped it from her hands. "I'm going to enjoy this, Clara. I'm going to make you pay for every mile you made me chase you." Samuel moved. Victor didn't see it coming. One moment he was reaching for Clara. The next moment Samuel's arm was around his throat, squeezing, crushing. "Run!" Samuel gasped. Blood poured from the wound on his head. "Clara, run." She didn't run. She grabbed a piece of burning wood from the floor and swung it at Victor's face. It connected with a sickening crack. Victor screamed and released Samuel. He stumbled backward, clutching his eye. "My eye! You burned my eye!" Samuel grabbed Clara's hand. "Now we run!" They ran, through the back door, into the snow. Behind them, Victor's screams turned to rage. Kill them! Kill them both! I want their heads! Gunshots cracked through the night. Bullets whizzed past Clara's ears. She didn't look back. She just ran her hand locked in Samuel's biscuit, somehow keeping pace beside them. They reached the tree line. The darkness swallowed them. Samuel pulled Clara behind a massive oak and pressed his hand over her mouth. "Quiet," he breathed. "Don't move." Torches appeared at the edge of the trees. 2 men, maybe 3. They were shouting, searching their horses, stomping nervously in the snow. "I can't see anything. They went this way. I saw them. Victor's hurt bad. We need to get him to a doctor." "Forget the doctor, find them." The voices grew closer. Clara could hear boots crunching through the snow. Her heart hammered so loud she was sure they could hear it. Samuel's grip on her tightened. His other hand found his pistol. The footsteps stopped. A torch flickered just on the other side of the tree. "They're not here. We should go back. Victor will kill us if we come back empty-handed. Victor might not make it through the night. You saw his face. That woman burned half of it off." Silence. Then the footsteps retreated. The torches faded. The voices disappeared into the distance. Samuel counted to 100 before he released Clara. "Are you hurt?" "No. You—" He touched his head. His hand came away dark with blood. "I'll live. You need a doctor. I need to get you somewhere safe. That's all I need." Clara looked back toward the ranch. The cabin was fully engulfed now. Flames reached toward the sky like desperate fingers. "Everything you owned, it's gone. Because of me. It was just a cabin. It was your home." Samuel turned to face her. Even in the darkness, she could see the intensity in his grey eyes. "Home isn't a building, Clara. Home is a feeling. And I haven't felt at home anywhere since Mary died." "Who was Mary?" "My wife. The only woman I ever loved." He paused. "Until now." Clara's breath caught. "What?" Samuel shook his head. "Forget I said that. We need to move. Victor's men will regroup. They'll come looking with dogs and more men. We need to be long gone before dawn." He started walking. Clara didn't move. "Samuel." He stopped but didn't turn around. "Did you mean it? What you just said?" "I don't know what I meant. I've got a head wound and I just watched my ranch burn down. I'm not thinking clearly." "That's not an answer." He turned. For a long moment, they just looked at each other. 2 broken people in the middle of nowhere. 2 strangers who had somehow found each other in the darkness. "Yes," Samuel finally said. "I meant it. I don't know how. I don't know why. I've known you for less than a day, but something about you makes me want to live again, and I haven't wanted that in a very long time." Clara felt tears building in her eyes. "Thomas used to say that. He used to say I made him want to be better. Then Thomas was a smart man." He was. He was the kindest person I ever knew. Nothing like Victor. How did 2 brothers turn out so different? Their mother used to say Victor was born with a hole in his heart, a place where love should have been, but wasn't. Thomas tried his whole life to fill that hole, to make Victor feel something. But you can't fill a void that doesn't want to be filled. Samuel nodded slowly. "I've known men like Victor. During the war. Men who enjoyed the killing. Men who found pleasure in pain. There's no saving them. There's only stopping them."
"And how do we stop him?"
"I don't know yet, but I'll figure it out." He held out his hand. "Can you walk?"
Clara took his hand. It was warm despite the cold, strong despite the wounds. I can walk. They walked for hours, through the forest, across frozen streams, up hills and down valleys. Biscuit trotted beside them, never complaining, never slowing down. When dawn finally broke, they found a cave hidden behind a waterfall. Samuel led Clara inside and started a small fire with supplies he had grabbed before fleeing the ranch. "Rest," he told her. "I'll keep watch. You need rest more than I do. Your head, my head will be fine. Rest. That's an order." Clara was too exhausted to argue. She curled up near the fire with Biscuit pressed against her stomach. Within minutes, she was asleep. Samuel watched her sleep. Her face was peaceful now. The fear had faded. The lines of tension had smoothed away. She looked almost young. He touched his head wound gently. It had stopped bleeding, but the pain was intense. He probably had a concussion. He definitely needed stitches. But none of that mattered. What mattered was keeping Clara alive. He had meant what he said in the forest. He didn't understand it. He couldn't explain it. But something about this woman had reached inside him and grabbed hold of something he thought had died with Mary. Hope? That's what it was. Hope. He hadn't felt hope in 3 years. He had forgotten what it tasted like, but now it was back burning in his chest like a small flame. He would not let Victor extinguish it. Clara slept for 6 hours. When she woke, the sun was high and Samuel was gone. She sat up in panic. "Samuel!" "I'm here." His voice came from the mouth of the cave. He was sitting with his back against the rock, his rifle across his knees. "Just keeping watch. I thought you left. I told you I'd keep you safe. I don't break my promises." Clara crawled over to sit beside him. Biscuit followed and settled in her lap. "What now?" "Now we make a plan. Victor will be healing that burn on his face. That buys us time. Maybe a day, maybe 2. We need to use it wisely." "What kind of plan?" Samuel was quiet for a moment. His jaw tightened. "There's a town about 20 miles west, Eagle Creek. I have a friend there, Henry Wells. We served together in the war. He's the sheriff now." "A sheriff? Can he help us?" "If anyone can stand up to Victor, it's Henry. He's not the kind of man who can be bought. And he owes me his life." "How?" "I took a bullet for him at Gettysburg, caught it right here." Samuel touched his left shoulder. "He carried me 2 miles through enemy territory to get me to a field hospital. He visits me every few months. Or he did, until I stopped answering my door. Will he still help you after you shut him out?" "Only one way to find out." They left the cave at midday. Samuel set a brutal pace, but Clara kept up. Her legs screamed with pain, her lungs burned. But she didn't complain. Every step was a step away from Victor. Every mile was a mile closer to safety. They stopped only twice. Once to drink from a stream, once to eat the last of the dried meat Samuel had brought. "Tell me about Henry," Clara said as they walked. "What kind of man is he? Stubborn, principled, annoying as hell." A ghost of a smile crossed Samuel's face. "He's been trying to get me to rejoin the living since Mary died. Keeps telling me she wouldn't want me to waste away alone." "She wouldn't." "How would you know?" "Because I know what it's like to love someone, and I know that when you truly love someone, you want them to be happy, even if you can't be there to share it." Samuel didn't respond, but something in his eyes shifted, softened. They reached Eagle Creek just as the sun was setting. It was a small town. One main street, a general store, a saloon, a church. and at the end of the street a small building with a star painted on the door. Sheriff's office. "Stay close," Samuel said, "and let me do the talking." They walked down the main street. People stared. Clara knew how they must look. Dirty, bloody, exhausted. But she held her head high and kept walking. Samuel pushed open the sheriff's door. A man looked up from behind a desk. He was tall, broad-shouldered, with a thick moustache and sharp blue eyes. "I'll be damned," the man said slowly. "Samuel Thornton. I thought you were dead." "Not yet, Henry, though not for lack of trying." Henry stood. His eyes moved from Samuel to Clara to the puppy in her arms. "Who's the woman?" "Clara Whitmore. She's in trouble." "What kind of trouble?" "The kind that follows you with guns and torches." Henry's expression hardened. "Come in. Close the door. Tell me everything." They told him. Samuel told him about Clara appearing at his ranch, about Victor, about the fight, about the fire. Clara told him about Thomas, about the debts, about running. When they finished, Henry was silent for a long moment. "Victor Hayes," he finally said. "I know that name. Rich family out of Montana. Father made his fortune in silver. Died last year. Left everything to his 2 sons. Thomas was the older son," Clara said. "He inherited the ranch. Victor got the mining operation. But Victor always wanted more. He always wanted everything. And now he wants you. He wants to punish me. For running, for embarrassing him, for making him look weak." Henry leaned back in his chair. "How many men does he have? At least 7. Probably more by now. And he knows you're heading west." Samuel shook his head. "He doesn't know where we're going, but he'll figure it out. He's not stupid, just evil." Henry stood and walked to the window. He looked out at the darkening street. "I can offer you protection here, but I only have 2 deputies. If Victor comes with an army, we won't be able to stop him." "I'm not asking you to fight my battles," Samuel said. "I'm asking you to help me fight them." "What do you need?" "Guns, ammunition. A place for Clara to hide while I deal with Victor. Deal with him how? However I have to." Henry turned to face his old friend. "You mean kill him?" "If it comes to that. Samuel, I'm the law in this town. I can't sanction murder. It's not murder if he comes at me first. And he will. He won't be able to help himself. His pride won't allow it." Clara stepped forward. "There might be another way." Both men looked at her. "Thomas kept records, ledgers. Every transaction Victor ever made, every bribe, every illegal deal. When Thomas got sick, he made me hide them. He said if anything ever happened to him, I should use them to protect myself." Samuel's eyes widened. "Where are these ledgers?" "Buried under the old oak tree behind the farmhouse. Thomas and I planted that tree on our wedding day. He said it was the one place Victor would never think to look." Henry's face lit up. "If those ledgers contain what you say they contain, we could destroy Victor legally. We could have him arrested, tried, imprisoned, or hanged," Samuel added. "Let's not get ahead of ourselves." Henry grabbed his hat. "How far is this farmhouse?" 3 days' ride, Clara said. "Maybe 2 if we push hard." "Then we leave at dawn." Henry turned to Samuel. "You up for this? With that head wound, try and stop me." Henry smiled for the first time. "There's the Samuel I remember, the one who charged a Confederate line with an empty rifle because he was too stubborn to retreat. That was stupid. That was brave. There's a difference. Not much of one. They spent the night in the sheriff's office. Henry's deputies took turns keeping watch. Clara slept on a cot in the back room. Samuel sat by the window staring out at the darkness. Around midnight, Clara appeared beside him. Can't sleep. Too much thinking. About what? About what happens after. If we get those ledgers. If we stop Victor. What then? Samuel turned to look at her. What do you want to happen? I don't know. I haven't thought past survival in so long. I forgot there could be something after. There's always something after. That's what Mary used to say. Even in the darkest night, dawn is coming. You just have to hold on long enough to see it. Clara sat down beside him. Their shoulders touched. Neither pulled away. Do you think she would approve of this? Of us? There is no us. Isn't there? Samuel was quiet. The question hung in the air between them. Mary was the most generous person I ever knew, he finally said. She would want me to be happy. She would want me to stop punishing myself for failing to save her. You didn't fail her. I couldn't cure her. I couldn't make her better. I couldn't do anything except watch her die. That's not failure. That's love. Being there, holding her hand, making sure she didn't face the darkness alone. That's the bravest thing a person can do. Samuel's jaw trembled. For a moment, Clara thought he might cry. But he pulled himself together, swallowed hard. You should get some sleep. Tomorrow's going to be hard. Samuel. What? She leaned over and kissed his cheek. Soft, quick, over before he could react. Thank you. For everything. She stood and walked back to the cot. Samuel watched her go. His hand rose slowly to touch the place where her lips had been. For the first time in 3 years, he smiled. Dawn came too quickly. They mounted up just as the sun cleared the horizon. Henry led the way on a black stallion. Samuel and Clara followed on horses borrowed from the stable. Biscuit rode in a saddlebag, his head poking out, tongue lolling happily. They rode hard, through valleys and over ridges, across rivers and through forests. By nightfall they had covered 40 miles. They made camp in a hollow between 2 hills. Henry built a fire while Samuel stood watch. He's changed, Henry said quietly to Clara. Samuel, he's different than the last time I saw him. Different? How? Alive. When Mary died, part of him died with her. I've watched him fade over the past 3 years, getting thinner, quieter, disappearing into himself. But now there's something in his eyes again. A spark. I didn't do anything. You gave him something to fight for. That's everything. Clara looked over at Samuel's silhouette against the darkening sky. He saved my life. Twice. I can never repay that. He doesn't want repayment. He just wants you safe. That's enough for him. The second day of riding was harder. Rain came down in sheets. The trails turned to mud. The horses struggled. But they pushed on. By evening, Clara recognized the landscape, the hills, the trees, the winding creek. We're close, she said. The farmhouse is just over that ridge. They crested the hill and stopped. Clara's breath caught in her throat. The farmhouse was gone, burned to the ground. Only blackened timbers and ash remained. No, Clara whispered. No, no, no. Victor, Samuel said grimly. He burned it. The ledgers. They were buried behind the oak tree. Maybe. They rode down to the ruins. Clara jumped from her horse before it fully stopped. She ran to where the old oak tree should have been. It had been chopped down. The ground around it had been dug up, holes everywhere. Someone had been searching. "He found them," Clara said. Her voice was dead, empty. "He found them and destroyed them." "Maybe not." Samuel dismounted and walked slowly around the disturbed earth. "Victor is thorough, but he's also impatient. If he found what he was looking for, he would have stopped digging." He was right. The holes were everywhere, dozens of them. The work of someone desperate and frustrated. "He didn't find them," Henry said. "He was looking, but he didn't find them." Hope flickered in Clara's chest. Thomas was clever. He wouldn't have buried them right under the tree. He would have... She stopped. Her eyes went to a spot 20 feet away, a small mound of rocks that looked natural but wasn't. "Help me," she said. They moved the rocks. They dug with their hands. 2 feet down, Clara's fingers touched metal. A lockbox. She pulled it free and opened it. Inside were 3 leather-bound ledgers wrapped in oilcloth to protect them from moisture. "Thomas," Clara whispered. "You brilliant, wonderful man." She opened the first ledger. Page after page of careful handwriting. Dates, names, amounts. A record of every corrupt deal Victor had ever made. Henry let out a low whistle. This is enough to put him away for life. Bribery, fraud, conspiracy, murder. Murder? Clara looked up sharply. "Right here." Henry pointed to an entry. "Payment to J. Walker for services rendered. Elimination of mining inspector. $300. Victor had someone killed. Looks like he had several people killed. This is a gold mine of evidence." Samuel took the ledger from Henry's hands. His face was hard. "We need to get these to a judge, someone outside Victor's reach." "There's a federal judge in Cheyenne," Henry said. "Judge Morrison. He's known for being incorruptible. If we can get these ledgers to him, Victor is finished. Cheyenne is 100 miles east. Then we ride east." Clara closed the lockbox and clutched it to her chest. "Victor will know we came here. He'll follow us." "Let him follow," Samuel said. "Let him come. This time we'll be ready." They mounted up and rode into the darkness. Behind them the ruins of Clara's old life smoldered in the rain. Ahead of them, 100 miles of dangerous territory stood between them and justice. But for the first time, Clara felt something she hadn't felt in months. She felt like she might actually win. They rode through the night. No stops, no rest. Every mile was a mile closer to safety. Every mile was a mile further from Victor. But Victor was already on their trail. He had watchers everywhere. Men who owed him. Men who feared him. One of them had seen the 3 riders heading toward the burned farmhouse. Another had seen them leaving with something clutched in the woman's arms. Victor received the message at midnight. He was lying in bed, his face wrapped in bandages, his ruined eye throbbing with pain. "They found something," his man reported. "A box. They dug it up from the ruins." Victor sat up slowly. His one good eye burned with hatred. "Thomas's ledgers. He told me he destroyed them. He lied. What do you want us to do?" "Gather everyone, every man we have. We ride at dawn." "Where?" Victor smiled beneath his bandages. It was not a pleasant smile. "Wherever they're running. And this time, no one survives." They rode until the horses couldn't run any more. By dawn they had covered 30 miles, but the animals were foaming at the mouth and stumbling with exhaustion. "We have to stop," Henry said. "Push them any harder, and they'll die under us." Samuel scanned the horizon. Nothing but empty land in every direction. There's a way station about 5 miles ahead. We can trade horses there. And if Victor's men are waiting, then we fight! Clara clutched the lockbox tighter. Her arms ached from holding it. Her back screamed from hours in the saddle, but she refused to let go. These ledgers were her freedom, her future, her revenge. "How do you know there's a way station?" she asked. "I used to ride this route. Before Mary. Before everything." Samuel's voice was flat. "I know every inch of this territory." They pushed on. The horses moved at a walk, now too tired for anything faster. Every minute felt like an hour.
Every sound made Clara jump. Finally, a cluster of buildings appeared in the distance. A barn, a main house, a corral full of fresh horses. "That's it," Samuel said. "Stay close. Let me talk." They rode into the yard. A man emerged from the barn. He was old, weathered. His eyes were sharp and suspicious. "Help you folks." "We need fresh horses," Samuel said. "3 of them. We can pay." The old man looked them over, took in their exhausted mounts, their dirty clothes, the blood still crusted on Samuel's forehead. "Running from something. Running towards something. How much for the horses?" $50 each. "That's robbery." "That's business. Take it or leave it." Samuel reached for his money pouch, but before he could pay, the old man's eyes fixed on something behind them. "Expecting company?" They turned. Dust cloud on the horizon. Riders, moving fast. "How many?" Clara whispered. Samuel counted. His jaw tightened. "At least 12. "Victor?" "Has to be."
Henry drew his pistol. "We can't outrun them on tired horses. We have to make a stand here." The old man held up his hands. "Now, hold on. I don't want any trouble at my station." "Trouble's already here," Samuel said. "You can help us, or you can get out of the way. But those men coming aren't going to stop for pleasantries." The old man hesitated. He looked at Clara, at the fear in her eyes, at the lockbox clutched against her chest. "What'd you do to make someone that angry?" "I survived," Clara said. "That's all. I just survived." Something shifted in the old man's face, something that might have been recognition or sympathy. "There's a root cellar behind the barn, doors hidden under hay bales. You could hide there." "I'm not hiding," Samuel said. "Not you. Her." The old man nodded at Clara. "Whatever's in that box is what they want. Get her hidden and you take away their leverage." Samuel looked at Clara. She shook her head violently. "No, I'm not leaving you again." "Leaving." "Clara, the last time I hid you almost died. I won't do it again." "This is different." How is it different?" "Because this time I need to know you're safe so I can focus on fighting. If you're out here, I'll be watching you instead of watching them. You'll get me killed faster than any bullet." Clara's eyes filled with tears. She hated that he was right. She hated that she was a liability instead of an asset. "Take Biscuit," she said. "Keep him with you." "What? Why?" "Because if something happens to me, I need to know he's safe. And because he'll warn you if anyone gets close." Samuel looked at the puppy poking out of the saddlebag. Biscuit's tail wagged uncertainly. "Fine. But you stay hidden until I come for you. No matter what you hear, no matter what happens, you stay hidden." Clara grabbed his hand, squeezed hard. "Come back to me." "I will." She kissed him. Not on the cheek this time, on the mouth. Hard and desperate and full of everything she couldn't say. Then she ran for the barn. Samuel watched her go. His heart was pounding. His hands were steady.
Henry moved up beside him. 12 against 3. I've faced worse odds. When? I'll let you know if I survive this. The riders grew closer. Samuel could make out individual figures now. Victor was in the lead. His face was wrapped in bandages, but there was no mistaking that horse, that posture, that hatred radiating off him like heat from a fire. The old man had disappeared inside the main house. Samuel didn't blame him. This wasn't his fight. Victor pulled up 50 yards from the station. His men fanned out behind him. 12 guns. Maybe more. Samuel Thornton. Victor's voice carried across the distance. I have to admit, you're harder to kill than I expected. You haven't tried very hard yet. Victor laughed. It was an ugly sound. Where's the woman? Gone. She left in the night. Took the ledgers with her. You're lying. Maybe, maybe not. Either way, she's not here. Victor gestured to his men. 4 of them dismounted and headed toward the barn. Samuel raised his rifle. Tell them to stop. Or what? Or I put the next bullet through your other eye. Victor's smile disappeared. He held up a hand. His men stopped. You're protecting a thief and a whore. You know that, right? She told you she was innocent. She told you Thomas was a good man. All lies. Thomas was weak. He let her manipulate him. She drove him to his grave, and then she stole everything that should have been mine. Funny. She tells it different. She's a liar. And you're a murderer. I've seen the ledgers, Victor. I know about the mining inspector, the bribes, the fraud. It's all going to a federal judge in Cheyenne. By this time next week, every lawman in the territory will be looking for you. Victor's face contorted with rage. The bandages on his burned eye made him look monstrous. You think some ledgers can stop me? You think the law can touch me? I own the law. I own judges and sheriffs and senators. I own this whole goddamn territory. You don't own me, Henry said. And you don't own Judge Morrison. Victor looked at Henry as if noticing him for the first time. Ah, the famous Henry Wells, the incorruptible sheriff. I've heard about you. They say you can't be bought. They say right. Everyone can be bought. It's just a matter of finding the right price. Victor leaned forward in his saddle. What's yours? Money, women, power, name it. Help me get those ledgers, and I'll give you whatever you want. Henry's expression didn't change. I want you to rot in prison. Can you give me that? Victor's smile returned, cold and deadly. No, but I can give you a quick death instead of a slow one. That's more mercy than you deserve. He raised his hand. His men raised their rifles. Last chance, Sheriff. Where's the woman? Henry didn't answer. He just pulled back the hammer on his pistol. The world exploded into chaos. Gunfire erupted from everywhere at once. Samuel dove behind a water trough. Henry took cover behind a wagon. Bullets splintered wood and kicked up dirt. Samuel fired twice. 2 men fell, but more kept coming. Henry, the barn. They're going for the barn. 3 of Victor's men had broken off from the main group. They were running toward the barn where Clara was hidden. Henry turned and fired. 1 man dropped. The other 2 kept running. Samuel sprinted after them. A bullet grazed his arm. He barely felt it. All he could think about was Clara, the root cellar, the hidden door. He reached the barn just as the first man kicked open the door. Samuel shot him in the back. The second man spun and fired. The bullet caught Samuel in the shoulder. He stumbled, but didn't fall. Biscuit was barking frantically from somewhere nearby. The second man advanced, gun raised. Samuel's rifle was empty. No time to reload. He threw the rifle at the man's face and charged. They collided and went down in a tangle of limbs and fury. Samuel's wounded shoulder screamed, his vision blurred, but his hands found the man's throat and squeezed. The man struggled, clawed at Samuel's face, drew blood. Samuel squeezed harder. A minute later, the man went limp. Samuel pushed himself up. His shoulder was bleeding badly. His head wound had reopened, but he was alive. "Clara!" He limped toward the back of the barn. "Clara, where are you?" No answer. He found the hay bales, pulled them aside, found the trap door. He yanked it open. The cellar was empty. "No." Samuel's blood went cold. "No, no, no." He heard a scream from outside. Clara's scream. He ran. Victor had her. He was on his horse, one arm wrapped around Clara's throat, a gun pressed to her temple. The lockbox lay in the dirt at his feet.
"Looking for something?"
Victor called out. Samuel stopped. Henry was pinned down behind the wagon, surrounded by what remained of Victor's men. 6 of them, maybe 7.
"Let her go."
"Why would I do that?" Victor pressed the gun harder against Clara's head. "She's the only reason you haven't killed me yet." Clara's eyes met Samuel's. She was terrified, but there was something else there too. Defiance. Rage. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "They found me. I tried to fight." "It's not your fault." "How touching," Victor sneered. "The noble cowboy and his damsel in distress. It's almost romantic. Too bad it's going to end with both of you dead. You kill her, and you lose your leverage." "True. But I don't need leverage anymore. I have the ledgers." Victor nodded toward one of his men. "Pick them up." The man dismounted and reached for the lockbox. As he bent down, a shot rang out from the main house. The man collapsed. Everyone froze. The old man appeared in the doorway. He was holding a rifle that looked older than he was.
"I changed my mind about staying out of this." Victor swung his gun toward the old man. Clara saw her chance. She bit down on Victor's arm as hard as she could. He screamed and released her. She dropped to the ground and rolled. Samuel was moving before she hit the dirt. He tackled Victor off his horse. They crashed down together, struggling for the gun. Victor was strong, stronger than he looked, and he fought with the desperation of a man who knew he was about to lose everything. "You should have minded your own business," Victor hissed. "You should have let her die." "I'm done letting people die." Samuel headbutted him. Victor's nose shattered. Blood sprayed everywhere, but Victor kept fighting. He got the gun free, aimed it at Samuel's chest. Clara slammed the lockbox into the back of Victor's head. He collapsed. Samuel grabbed the gun and pressed it against Victor's temple. His finger tightened on the trigger.
"Do it!"
Victor gasped.
"Kill me! It won't change anything. My money will keep working even after I'm dead. You'll never be safe."
"Samuel." Clara's voice was soft, steady. "Don't. He deserves to die. He deserves to rot in a cell. He deserves to lose everything. He deserves to watch his empire crumble while he's powerless to stop it. Death is too easy." Samuel's hand trembled. The rage inside him was overwhelming. Every instinct screamed at him to pull the trigger. But Clara was right. He lowered the gun. "Henry, get the ropes." They tied Victor up, while Henry's bullets kept the remaining men at bay. The old man proved to be an excellent shot. By the time they were done, only 3 of Victor's men were still standing. "Drop your weapons," Henry shouted. "Your boss is finished. There's no one left to pay you." One by one the men threw down their guns. It was over. Clara sank to the ground. Her whole body was shaking.
Biscuit appeared from somewhere and jumped into her lap, licking her face frantically. Samuel knelt beside her. "Are you hurt?" "No, yes, I don't know." She looked at him, at the blood covering his shirt. "You're the one who's hurt." I've had worse. Liar. He almost smiled. Maybe. Henry walked over, shoving Victor in front of him. Victor's face was a mask of blood and hatred. This isn't over, Victor spat. You think you've won. You haven't won anything. I have lawyers. I have connections. I'll be out of jail before the week is over. Not this time, Henry said. Murder for hire, bribery of federal officials, fraud, conspiracy. The list goes on. Judge Morrison doesn't take kindly to men who think they're above the law. Morrison is just a man. Men can be bought. Not all men. Henry looked at Samuel. Some men have something more valuable than money. They have honor. Victor laughed. It was a hollow, desperate sound. Honor.
What good is honor when you're dead? What good is honor when your wife is in the ground and you're drinking yourself to death in a cabin in the middle of nowhere? Samuel's fist connected with Victor's jaw before anyone could stop him. Victor crumpled. That's for Mary, Samuel said quietly. And that's the last time you ever speak her name. They borrowed fresh horses from the old man. He refused payment. Just seeing that bastard in chains is payment enough, he said. My daughter ran away from a man like him once. She wasn't as lucky as your lady friend. She didn't make it. Clara hugged him. She couldn't help it. Thank you for everything. You just survive. That's all the thanks I need. They rode for Cheyenne. Victor was tied to his horse, conscious now, but silent. His remaining men had scattered. By tomorrow, word would spread throughout the territory. Victor Hayes had fallen. The journey took 2 days. They stopped only when absolutely necessary.
Clara's arms never left the lockbox. Samuel's wounds were tended by Henry, who turned out to be surprisingly skilled with the needle and thread. Field medicine, Henry explained. You learn quick when there's no doctor for 50 miles. Does it always hurt this much? The stitch is only for the first day. Liar. Takes one to know one. Cheyenne appeared on the horizon on the afternoon of the second day. It was bigger than Clara expected, more modern. Telegraph wires stretched between buildings. The streets were crowded with people and horses and wagons. Where's the courthouse? Clara asked. End of Main Street, big stone building. Can't miss it. They drew stairs as they rode through town. A woman on horseback clutching a metal box. A wounded man with blood on his clothes. A sheriff with a badge that caught the sunlight. And a prisoner tied and bound, his face twisted with fury and hate. The courthouse was impressive. Columns and steps and a flag flying overhead. Henry dismounted first. Stay here. I'll find the judge. He disappeared inside. Clara and Samuel sat in silence. Victor glared at them from his horse. You think this is victory, Victor hissed. You think this ends well for you. Quiet, Samuel said. Even if I hang, you'll never be free of me. I'll haunt you, both of you. Every time you close your eyes, you'll see my face. Every shadow will be my shadow. Every sound will be my footstep. Clara met his eyes. For the first time, she felt no fear, only exhaustion, and something that might have been pity. You're wrong, Victor. Once you're gone, I won't think about you at all. You'll fade, like a bad dream, like a nightmare that loses its power in the morning light. You're nothing. You've always been nothing. And that's why you tried so hard to take everything from everyone around you, because deep down you knew you were empty. Victor's face contorted. He opened his mouth to respond. The judge will see you now. Henry stood on the courthouse steps. Behind him was a man in black robes, grey-haired, sharp-eyed, the kind of face that had seen everything and was surprised by nothing. Bring the prisoner, Judge Morrison said, And bring those ledgers. We have a lot to discuss. The trial lasted 3 days. Clara testified. Samuel testified. The old man from the way station was brought in to describe the attack. The ledgers were examined page by page. Victor's lawyers were good. They were paid to be good. But the evidence was overwhelming. Too many witnesses, too many records, too many bodies. On the morning of the 4th day, Judge Morrison delivered his verdict. Victor Hayes, you have been found guilty of murder, conspiracy, bribery, and fraud. The sentence is death by hanging. Execution will be carried out at dawn tomorrow. Victor didn't react. He just stared at Clara with that same cold hatred. "This isn't over," he mouthed. She turned away. That night, Clara couldn't sleep. She sat by the window of the hotel room watching the stars. Biscuit was curled up on the bed. Samuel was in the next room, finally resting after days of hard riding and harder fighting. A knock at her door. "Who is it?" "Samuel." She opened the door. He stood there in his shirt sleeves. His shoulder was bandaged. His face was pale. "Can't sleep either. Too much thinking." He nodded. Understood. "Can I come in?" She stepped aside. He walked to the window and stood beside her. They looked out at the darkness together. "It's really over, isn't it?" Clara said. "Tomorrow he dies, and then it's done." "It's done. So what happens now?" Samuel was quiet for a long moment. "I don't know. I hadn't thought past this moment." Neither had I. They stood in silence. The weight of everything they had survived hung between them. "Mary would have liked you," Samuel said finally. "She would have said you were too stubborn for your own good. She would have said you needed to learn to ask for help. But she would have liked you. I wish I could have known her. Part of me wishes that too. But another part..." He trailed off. "What?" "Another part is glad you never met her. Because if you had, you'd always be comparing yourself to her, and you'd never see yourself the way I see you." Clara's breath caught. "How do you see me?" Samuel turned to face her. His grey eyes were soft, warmer than she had ever seen them. "I see someone who survived the unsurvivable. Someone who kept going when anyone else would have given up. Someone who makes me want to live again." "Samuel." "I'm not good at this, at words, at feelings. I've been dead inside for 3 years. But you brought me back. You and that ridiculous dog. You made me remember what it feels like to care about something, to fight for something, to hope." Clara reached up and touched his face. Her hand trembled. "I'm scared," she admitted. "I've never had something good that didn't get taken away. I don't know how to trust it." "Neither do I. But maybe that's the point. Maybe we learn together." He kissed her. Gentle this time. Not desperate, not rushed. Just two people finding their way back to the world of the living. When they finally pulled apart, Clara was crying. But for the first time in years, they were tears of joy. "Stay," she whispered. "Stay with me tonight. I don't want to be alone." "You'll never be alone again. I promise." They held each other until dawn. And when the sun rose over Cheyenne, they faced it together. The hanging was scheduled for 7 in the morning. Clara did not want to watch. Samuel did not ask her to. "I'll go," he said. "You stay here with Biscuit." "No." "Clara, I said no." She sat up in bed. Her eyes were red from lack of sleep, but hard with determination. "I need to see it. I need to know he's really gone. Otherwise, I'll spend the rest of my life looking over my shoulder." Samuel understood. He had spent 3 years looking over his shoulder for death. He knew what it meant to live in fear of something that might never come. "Then we go together." They dressed in silence. Clara wore the only dress she had left borrowed from the hotel owner's wife. It was too big in the shoulders and too short at the hem. She didn't care. Henry met them in the lobby. His face was grim. "There's been a problem." Samuel's hand went to his gun. "What kind of problem?" "Victor's lawyers filed an appeal last night. They're claiming the trial was unfair. Biased jury, coerced witnesses, the usual nonsense." "Will it work?" "No. Morrison denied it an hour ago. The execution proceeds as scheduled." Clara exhaled. Her hands were shaking. "Then why do you look so worried?" Henry hesitated. "Because Victor's been talking. All night. To anyone who will listen. He's making promises, offering money. Trying to buy his way out. Has anyone taken the bait?" "Not yet. But he's desperate. Desperate men do desperate things." They walked to the square where the gallows had been built. A crowd had already gathered. Men in suits, women in bonnets, children who should not have been there but were anyway. Clara felt sick. "I hate this," she whispered. "I hate that people came to watch like it's entertainment." "They want to see justice done." "This isn't justice. This is spectacle." Samuel took her hand, squeezed. "You don't have to stay." "Yes, I do." They pushed through the crowd until they found a spot near the front. Guards surrounded the gallows. The hangman stood ready, his face hidden behind a black hood. At exactly 7 o'clock, the prison doors opened. Victor emerged in chains. 4 guards surrounded him. His face was pale. His one good eye darted frantically through the crowd. When he saw Clara, he smiled. It was the most terrifying thing she had ever seen.
"Hello, sister," he called out. "Come to watch me die."
Clara said nothing. Her grip on Samuel's hand tightened until her knuckles went white. Victor was led up the steps to the gallows. The hangman placed the noose around his neck. A priest read from a Bible. Victor laughed through the entire prayer. "Any last words?" the hangman asked. Victor turned to face the crowd. His one eye found Clara again. "You think this is the end? You think my death changes anything? I'm not the only monster in this world. There are others, worse than me, and they know who you are now. They know what you did. You'll never be safe. Never." "Shut up," Samuel growled. "The woman you love is marked. She'll spend the rest of her life running. And one day, when she least expects it, someone will come for her, someone I paid, someone who owes me. And they'll finish what I started." Clara felt the blood drain from her face. "He's lying. He's just trying to scare me." "Am I?" Victor's smile widened. "I'll ask your sheriff friend about the telegram I sent last night. Ask him who received it." Henry's face went pale. "What telegram?" "The one I sent to my associates in San Francisco. The one that puts a price on Clara's head. $10,000 to the man who brings me her heart. Literally." The crowd gasped. Clara's legs buckled. Samuel caught her. "He's bluffing," Samuel said. "He's trying to ruin this moment." "Am I Samuel? Am I really?" Victor laughed. "You'll find out soon enough. You'll find out when the first bounty hunter shows up at your door, and then the second, and the third. They'll keep coming until she's dead. That's my legacy. That's my final gift to both of you." The hangman looked at Judge Morrison. Morrison nodded. The trap door opened. Victor Hayes dropped. The crack of his neck echoed across the silent square. Clara turned away. She buried her face in Samuel's chest and sobbed. "It's over," Samuel whispered.
He's gone.
But Clara had heard Victor's words. She had seen the truth in his dying eye. It wasn't over. It was just beginning. They left Cheyenne that afternoon. Henry rode with them as far as Eagle Creek. "I'll look into the telegram," he promised. "If Victor really sent word to San Francisco, I'll find out who received it." "And then what?" Clara asked. "Even if you find them, you can't stop every bounty hunter in the territory." "No, but I can warn you, and I can make sure they know that anyone who comes after you answers to me." Samuel shook Henry's hand. "Thank you. For everything. Don't thank me yet. Victor may be dead, but his money isn't. $10,000 is a lot of motivation. You need to be careful."
"We will be."
Henry turned his horse toward Eagle Creek. At the last moment he looked back. "Samuel, what? Mary would be proud of you. I want you to know that." Samuel's jaw tightened. He nodded once. Then Henry was gone. They rode in silence for hours. Clara's mind was spinning with fear and doubt. Every shadow seemed threatening. Every distant rider made her heart race. "We should keep moving," she finally said. "Get as far from here as possible. Running won't help. If there are really bounty hunters coming, they'll track us no matter where we go." "Then what do we do?" Samuel was quiet for a long moment. "We build something worth defending. We find a place and we make it ours, and we fight anyone who tries to take it from us. You make it sound simple. It's not, but it's the only way. Running is no kind of life. Trust me, I've been running for 3 years. It doesn't get you anywhere." Clara looked at him, at the determination in his eyes, at the strength in his shoulders, at the man who had risked everything to save her. "Where would we go? I know a place. North of here. Montana territory. Wild country. Hard to find if you don't know where to look. I stumbled across it years ago during the war. I thought about settling there once before Mary got sick, before everything changed." "Montana." Clara rolled the word around in her mouth. "That's far. Far is good. Far is safe. What about Henry? What about the life you built here? What life? A burned cabin and a cemetery full of ghosts." Samuel shook his head. "There's nothing for me here, not anymore, but there could be something for us, somewhere new, somewhere we can start over." Clara felt tears building in her eyes. "You'd do that? Leave everything behind for me?" "I'd do more than that, if you'd let me." "What does that mean?" Samuel pulled his horse to a stop. He turned to face her. "It means I love you, Clara. I know it's too soon. I know we barely know each other. I know this is insane. But I love you, and I want to spend whatever time I have left on this earth making sure you're safe and happy." Clara stared at him. Her heart was pounding so hard she could barely breathe. "You love me." "I do." "You're sure?" "I've never been more sure of anything in my life." She should have been happy. She should have been overjoyed. But instead, fear gripped her heart. What if you change your mind? What if you wake up one day and realize I'm not worth the trouble? What if... Samuel crossed the distance between their horses. He grabbed her face in both hands and kissed her hard. "Stop," he said, when they finally broke apart. "Stop looking for reasons to push me away. I'm not going anywhere. Not now. Not ever." "You can't promise that." "I just did." They reached the Montana border 2 weeks later. The journey had been hard. Long days in the saddle. Cold nights under the stars. But they had made it. The land was beautiful in a wild, untamed way. Rolling hills, dense forests, rivers that ran clear and cold. "This is it?" Clara asked. "This is it. The valley is just over that ridge. There's an old cabin there, abandoned years ago. It's not much, but it's a start.
They crested the ridge and looked down. The valley was everything Samuel had promised. Green and lush and hidden from the world. A creek ran through the center. The old cabin stood near the water, weathered but solid. "It's perfect," Clara breathed. "It needs work, a lot of work, but we can make it home." Home. The word felt strange on Clara's tongue. She hadn't had a home since Thomas died. She had almost forgotten what the word meant. They rode down into the valley. Biscuit ran ahead, chasing rabbits and barking with joy. For the first time in weeks, Clara felt something like peace. They spent the first month rebuilding, fixing the roof, replacing rotted boards, building a proper stable for the horses. Samuel worked from dawn until dusk. Clara worked beside him. "You don't have to do this," Samuel said one evening as they sat by the fire. "The heavy lifting, that's my job. Your job. We're partners, remember, equal partners. I didn't mean—" "I know what you meant, but I'm not some fragile flower that needs protecting. I survived Victor. I can survive a little manual labor." Samuel smiled. It was still a rare sight, but Clara was seeing it more often now. "You're stubborn. So are you. I guess that's why we work." By the end of the second month, the cabin was livable. By the end of the third, it was almost comfortable. Clara had planted a garden. Samuel had built a fence around the property. They had even acquired a few chickens from a trading post 50 miles south. "We're becoming farmers." Clara laughed one morning. "Can you believe it? I've been called worse things." "Like what?" "Stubborn, impossible, the most annoying man in Wyoming." "Who called you that?" "Mary, every single day." His smile faded slightly. She was right. Clara reached across the table and took his hand. "Tell me about her. Really tell me. I want to know." Samuel was quiet for a long moment. He rarely talked about Mary. The pain was still too fresh even after 3 years. "She was the kindest person I ever knew. She saw the best in everyone, even when they didn't deserve it. Especially when they didn't deserve it. She saw something in me that I couldn't see in myself." "What hope?" "She believed I could be more than what I was, more than a soldier, more than a killer. She made me want to be better." "She sounds wonderful." "She was, and losing her nearly destroyed me." He looked at Clara. "But you brought me back. You gave me a reason to keep going. I don't know how to thank you for that." "You don't have to thank me. Just stay. That's all I want. I told you. I'm not going anywhere." They were happy. For 4 months, they were genuinely, completely happy. The nightmares faded. The fear receded. Victor became a distant memory, a darkness that had been vanquished. And then the stranger arrived. Clara was in the garden when she heard hoofbeats. She looked up and saw a rider approaching from the south. A man, big, wearing a long coat despite the summer heat. Her blood went cold. "Samuel!" He appeared from the barn, rifle in hand. He had heard the hoofbeats too. "Get inside," he said. "Samuel, inside, now!" Clara ran for the cabin. Biscuit followed, growling at the approaching stranger. Samuel walked to the edge of the property and waited. The rider stopped 20 feet away. His face was weathered. His eyes were cold. A scar ran from his left eye to his chin. "Samuel Thornton." "Who's asking?" "Name's Garrett Cole. I'm looking for a woman named Clara Whitmore. Word is she's traveling with you." Samuel's grip on his rifle tightened. "Never heard of her." "That's interesting, because I have it on good authority that she's living in this very cabin. A telegram from Cheyenne. Very specific directions." "Telegrams can be wrong." "They can be."
But this one wasn't. Cole smiled. It didn't reach his eyes. $10,000 is a lot of money, Thornton. More money than you've ever seen in your life. Walk away now, and I'll let you live. And if I don't walk away, then I kill you, and I take her anyway. Either way, I get paid. Samuel raised his rifle. Leave, now, while you still can. Cole didn't move. His hand drifted toward his holster. I've killed 43 men, Thornton. You're good, but you're not that good. Put down the rifle and we can discuss this like civilized men. I'm done being civilized. Cole's hand moved. Samuel fired. The bullet caught Cole in the shoulder. He fell from his horse with a grunt of pain. His gun skittered away across the dirt. Samuel advanced, rifle still raised. Who sent you? Go to hell! Samuel pressed his boot against Cole's wounded shoulder. Cole screamed. Who sent you? Victor? Victor Hayes. He set it up before he died. Who else knows about the bounty? Everyone. Every bounty hunter west of the Mississippi. She's worth a fortune. Samuel felt sick. Victor's final words echoed in his mind. They'll keep coming until she's dead. How do I stop it? You can't. The money's already been wired, held in trust until someone brings proof of her death. It's out there forever. Clara appeared in the doorway of the cabin. Her face was pale. What do we do? Samuel looked at her, looked at the man bleeding at his feet, looked at the life they had built together. We fight. We fight until there's no one left to fight. Cole laughed. Blood bubbled from his lips. You're a fool. There are dozens of men like me, hundreds. You can't kill them all. Watch me. Samuel tied Cole up and dragged him into the barn. He would deal with him later. Right now, Clara needed him. She was sitting at the table, her hands wrapped around a cup of coffee that had gone cold. Biscuit was curled at her feet, whimpering softly. I'm sorry, she whispered. I brought this to you. I brought death to your door. Well, you brought yourself. That's all that matters. How can you say that a man just tried to kill you because of me? And I stopped him, just like I'll stop the next one, and the one after that. Samuel, you can't. I can, and I will. He knelt in front of her, took her hands in his. Listen to me. I spent 3 years waiting to die, hoping to die, and then you showed up at my door with a puppy and a prayer, and everything changed. You gave me something worth living for. You gave me a future. And I'm not going to let some ghost take that away. Victor's not a ghost. He's a curse. He'll haunt us forever. Then we break the curse. We find whoever is holding that bounty money and we make them release it. We clear your name. We end this. How? I don't know yet, but we'll figure it out. Together. Clara looked at him, at the certainty in his eyes, at the love that burned there like a steady flame. Together, she repeated. Always. She kissed him, hard, desperate, like she was trying to draw strength from his lips. When they pulled apart, something had changed in her eyes. The fear was still there, but it was joined by something else now. Resolve. What do we do with Cole? We get information. He knows who's holding the bounty. He knows who else is coming. We make him talk. And then we go on the offensive. We stop waiting for them to find us. We find them first. Clara nodded slowly. I spent my whole life running. From my father, from Victor, from fear. I'm tired of running. Then we stand and fight. Together. Always. They walked to the barn together. Cole was still tied up, still bleeding, still defiant. Samuel knelt in front of him. Here's how this is going to work. You're going to tell me everything you know, every name, every location, every detail of how this bounty system works, and in exchange, I won't kill you. And if I don't talk, then I let her do it." Samuel nodded toward Clara. "She's got a lot more reason to hate you than I do, and she's a lot less merciful." Clara stepped forward. Her eyes were cold. Her hands were steady. "Victor killed my husband," she said quietly. "He burned my home. He chased me across 3 territories. He tried to make me a slave, and now, even from the grave, he's still trying to destroy me." She picked up a knife from the workbench, examined the blade. "I've never killed a man before, but I'm willing to learn." Cole's defiance crumbled. Okay, I'll talk. Just keep her away from me." "Start talking." Cole talked for 2 hours. He told them about the bounty system, how the money was held by a lawyer in San Francisco, how the word had spread through underground networks, how at least 6 other bounty hunters were already on Clara's trail. "Names," Samuel demanded. "I need names." Cole gave them 5 names. 5 killers who were hunting Clara at this very moment. "Where are they now?" "I don't know exactly, but I know their roots, their habits, their weaknesses." Samuel wrote everything down. When Cole was finished, Samuel stood. "What happens to me now? Now you leave. You go back to wherever you came from and you tell everyone you meet that Clara Whitmore is under my protection. Tell them what happened here. Tell them that anyone who comes for her dies. They won't care. $10,000 is... Then they'll die, one by one, until there's no one left." Cole looked at Samuel, looked at Clara, saw the determination in their eyes. "You're both insane. Maybe, but we're still alive. And everyone who's come after us isn't. Think about that on your ride home." They released Cole that evening. He rode away without looking back. Clara watched him disappear into the darkness. "He'll warn them, the other hunters." That's the idea. The more scared they are, the more mistakes they'll make. "And if they're not scared, then we kill them too." Clara turned to face him. "This isn't the life I wanted, not for either of us." "I know, but it's the life we have, and I'd rather spend it fighting beside you than running alone." She reached up and touched his face. "I love you, Samuel Thornton." "I love you too." "Then let's end this. Once and for all." Samuel nodded. "First, we need to go to San Francisco, find that lawyer, cut off the money at the source, and the bounty hunters, we deal with them on the way." Clara took a deep breath, let it out slowly. "When do we leave?" "Tomorrow, at dawn." She looked at the cabin, at the garden, at the life they had started to build. "Will we come back?" "Yes, when it's safe, when this is over." "Promise." Samuel pulled her close, held her tight. "I promise." They left at dawn. Clara carried Biscuit in a saddlebag. Samuel carried enough ammunition to start a small war. The journey to San Francisco would take 3 weeks. 3 weeks of open road, 3 weeks of exposure, 3 weeks of looking over their shoulders. "We should travel at night," Clara suggested. "Harder to track." "Harder to see who's tracking us, too. We stay on main roads. We stay visible. Let them come." "You want them to find us?" "I want to deal with them on our terms, not theirs." They encountered the first bounty hunter on day 4. He came at them just after sunset, a lone rider approaching fast from the east. Samuel saw him coming and pulled Clara behind a cluster of rocks. "Stay down. Samuel, stay down." The rider slowed as he approached. He was young, too young, maybe 22. His hand rested on his holster.
Samuel Thornton. Who's asking? Doesn't matter. Where's the woman? What woman? The young man smiled. Don't play games. I know she's with you. Hand her over and I'll let you live. Samuel stepped out from behind the rocks. His rifle was already raised. You're young. You've probably got a family somewhere, a mother who loves you, maybe a sweetheart waiting back home. So I'm going to give you one chance. Turn around, ride away. Forget you ever heard the name Clara Whitmore.
$10,000. You know how much that is? I could buy a ranch, start a new life.
You could also die in the next 30 seconds. Your choice.
The young man hesitated. His hand trembled over his gun.
I can't go back empty-handed. I already told people I was going to bring her in. Then tell them you couldn't find her. Tell them she's dead. Tell them whatever you want. But if you draw that gun, I will kill you.
The young man's eyes darted between Samuel and the rocks where Clara was hiding. He was calculating, weighing his options. Then his hand moved. Samuel fired. The young man fell from his horse. He was dead before he hit the ground. Clara emerged from behind the rocks. Her face was pale. He was just a kid. He was a killer. He made his choice. It doesn't feel right. It's not supposed to feel right.
It's supposed to keep you alive.
They buried the young man in a shallow grave. Clara said a prayer. Samuel didn't. How many more? She asked as they rode away. As many as it takes. The second bounty hunter found them a week later. He was smarter than the first. He waited until they were asleep before attacking. Clara woke to the sound of Biscuit growling. She opened her eyes and saw a shadow looming over Samuel with a knife. She screamed. Samuel rolled just as the knife came down. It buried itself in the bedroll where his chest had been a second earlier. He grabbed the attacker's wrist and twisted hard. The knife clattered away. They fought in the darkness. Clara couldn't see who was winning. She heard grunts, thuds, the crack of bone, then silence. Samuel. I'm here. He emerged from the shadows. Blood covered his hands. It wasn't his. Who was he? Doesn't matter. He's dead now. They didn't sleep the rest of the night. By the time they reached California, they had killed 4 more bounty hunters, each one bolder than the last, each one more desperate. They're getting worse, Clara said. More reckless. They're running out of time. Word is spreading that anyone who comes after you dies. The smart ones have already given up. These are the stupid ones, the desperate ones. What happens when we run out of stupid ones? Then we're safe. San Francisco was bigger than Clara had imagined. Louder, more crowded. She felt exposed the moment they entered the city. Where do we find this lawyer? His name is Marcus Webb. He has an office on Market Street. That's where the bounty money is held. And what's the plan? We convince him to release the funds, cancel the bounty. Convince him how? Samuel's jaw tightened. However we have to. They found Webb's office in a 3-story building near the financial district. Gold lettering on the window proclaimed Marcus Webb, attorney at law. Wait here, Samuel said. No, we do this together. Clara? Together. That's what you said. Always together. He couldn't argue with his own words. They walked in together. A clerk looked up from behind a desk. Can I help you? We're here to see Marcus Webb. Do you have an appointment? No, but he'll want to see us. Tell him it's about the Hayes estate. The clerk's eyes widened slightly. He disappeared into a back office. A moment later, he returned. Mr. Webb will see you now. Marcus Webb was not what Clara expected. He was small, thin, with spectacles perched on a pointed nose.
He looked more like a librarian than a man who dealt in death. "Please sit." He gestured to 2 chairs across from his desk. "I've been expecting you. You have word travels fast in my profession. The infamous Clara Whitmore and her protector Samuel Thornton. You've made quite a name for yourselves." "We didn't come here to talk about our reputation." "No."
"You came here to cancel the bounty."
Webb leaned back in his chair. "I'm afraid that's not possible." "Why not?" "Because the money isn't mine to release. It's held in trust. Victor Hayes set it up before his death. Very specific instructions. The funds remain locked until someone provides proof of Mrs. Whitmore's death." Clara felt her heart sink. "There must be a way." "There isn't. The trust is ironclad. I couldn't break it even if I wanted to." Samuel leaned forward. "Then we'll make you want to." "Threats won't work, Mr. Thornton. I've dealt with far more dangerous men than you." "I doubt that. Believe what you wish. The fact remains that I am bound by law. The trust cannot be dissolved without proof of death or a court order." "Then we'll get a court order." Webb laughed. It was a thin, reedy sound. "On what grounds Victor Hayes committed no crime in setting up this trust?" "He simply created a legal mechanism to reward whoever brought him justice for his stolen property." "I'm not property," Clara snapped. "I never belonged to Victor. I never belonged to anyone." "The law sees it differently, I'm afraid. Or at least the law that Victor's money bought." Samuel stood. His hand moved toward his gun. "I could kill you right now. End this whole thing." "You could, but it wouldn't help. Another lawyer would take my place. The trust would continue. The bounty would remain." Webb smiled. "You can't kill your way out of this problem, Mr. Thornton. Believe me, others have tried." Clara put her hand on Samuel's arm. "Wait. Clara!" "He said we need proof of death or a court order." She turned to Webb. "What if I die?" Webb's eyebrows rose. "I beg your pardon?" "What if Clara Whitmore dies? If there's proof of my death, the trust dissolves. The bounty ends. The money goes. Where? Back to the Hayes estate."
"Which, since Victor had no heirs, would go to the state."
"So no one gets paid?" "Correct." Clara's mind was racing. "What counts as proof of death?" "A death certificate, signed by a doctor, witnessed by a law enforcement officer, filed with the county." "And if that certificate was filed, the bounty would end forever." Webb studied her for a long moment. "You're thinking of faking your death. Would it work?" "It might, if the paperwork was convincing enough, if no one investigated too closely." He paused. "But you would have to disappear. Completely. Clara Whitmore would cease to exist. You would need a new name, a new identity, a new life." Samuel squeezed Clara's hand. "We could do that. We were planning to start over anyway." "It's risky," Webb said. "If anyone discovers the truth, the bounty would be reinstated, and you would be charged with fraud." "We'll take that risk." Webb was silent for a long moment. His fingers drummed on the desk.
"Why would I help you? Because you're tired of this. I can see it in your eyes. You've spent years dealing with Victor's corruption, his violence, his cruelty. You took his money because you had no choice, but now he's dead, and you can be free of him too." Webb's mask slipped. Just for a moment. Clara saw something there, something that might have been shame. "Victor threatened my family," he said quietly. "My wife, my children. He said if I ever betrayed him, he would have them killed. Even from the grave, his threats controlled me. Victor is dead. His organization is crumbling. The men who worked for him are scattered. No one is coming after your family. You can't know that. I know that we've killed 7 of his bounty hunters in the past 3 weeks. I know that word is spreading. I know that anyone still loyal to Victor is running scared. Clara leaned forward. Help us end this. Help us bury Victor once and for all, and you'll never have to look over your shoulder again. Webb closed his eyes. When he opened them, something had changed. What do you need? A doctor. Someone who can be trusted. Someone who will sign a death certificate without asking too many questions. I know someone. He owes me a favor. And a witness. A law enforcement officer. That's harder. Most of the police in this city are on someone's payroll. Then we find one who isn't. Samuel stood. There's a sheriff in Wyoming. Name's Henry Wells. He's incorruptible. If we can get him here, he'll witness whatever we need. Webb nodded slowly. It could work. It's insane, but it could work. How long? A week, maybe 2. I need time to set everything up, to make sure there are no loose ends. We'll wait. Not here. It's too dangerous. There are at least 3 bounty hunters in the city right now. If they see you, it's over. Then where? Webb scribbled an address on a piece of paper. A friend's house. Outside the city. You'll be safe there. Clara took the paper. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. This could still go wrong in 100 different ways. But you're going to try? Yes, God help me, I'm going to try. They spent 10 days in a small farmhouse outside San Francisco. Henry arrived on day 7, having ridden hard from Wyoming. You're really going to do this? He asked. Fake your death. It's the only way, Clara said. As long as Clara Whitmore exists, people will keep coming, but if she dies, the bounty dies with her. And who will you become? Clara looked at Samuel. They had discussed this. Long nights of conversation, weighing options, making plans. Sarah Thornton. Henry's eyebrows rose. Thornton. Samuel cleared his throat. We're getting married, as soon as this is over. Henry stared at his old friend. Then he laughed. It was the first time Clara had heard him truly laugh. Well, I'll be damned. Samuel Thornton getting married again. Mary would be pleased. You think so? I know so. She always said you had too much love to waste on solitude. She was right. The ceremony was small. Webb officiated using a license he had somehow procured. Henry served as witness. The doctor, who would later sign Clara's death certificate, pronounced them man and wife. You may kiss the bride. Samuel kissed her. Clara kissed him back. For one perfect moment, everything else faded away. Then Webb cleared his throat. We should proceed. The bounty hunters are getting restless. I've heard rumors they're planning to search the countryside. They had rehearsed this, every detail planned, every contingency considered. Clara lay in a bed. The doctor examined her with exaggerated concern. Webb had prepared paperwork indicating she had been suffering from consumption for months. I'm afraid there's nothing more I can do, the doctor announced loudly for the benefit of anyone who might be listening. She's gone. Henry stepped forward. He looked at Clara's still form. Her eyes were closed, her breathing so shallow it was invisible. I confirm the death of Clara Whitmore, he said. Time of death, 3:15 in the afternoon. Webb wrote it all down. The doctor signed the certificate. Henry added his signature as witness. Clara Whitmore was officially dead. They waited until nightfall to move. Clara, now Sarah, wore a veil and a black dress. She was in mourning, Webb explained to anyone who asked. Her sister had just died. The story held. No one looked twice at the grieving woman being escorted by her husband and a sheriff. They boarded a train heading east. Webb had provided them with new documents, new names, new histories. As far as the world knew, Samuel and Sarah Thornton were a married couple from Oregon, returning home after a family tragedy. "It feels strange," Clara whispered as the train pulled out of the station. "Being dead." "You're not dead. Clara Whitmore is dead."
But you're right here, alive, free. Am I free? We'll find out soon enough. 2 weeks later, Webb sent a telegram. The bounty has been dissolved. Trust returned to state. No more hunters. It's over. Samuel read the words 3 times before he believed them. "It's over," he said. "Really over." Clara burst into tears. Not sad tears, not scared tears. Tears of pure, overwhelming relief. "I never thought this day would come. I never thought I would feel safe again." "You're safe now. I promise. I know. I finally know." They returned to Montana, to the cabin, to the life they had started building before everything fell apart. The garden had overgrown in their absence. The fence needed repairs. The chickens had been eaten by foxes. But the cabin still stood. The valley was still beautiful. The creek still ran clear and cold. "Home," Clara said softly. "We're home. We are." They rebuilt. Again. This time without looking over their shoulders. Without jumping at every sound. Without living in constant fear. Henry visited in the spring. He brought news from Cheyenne. Victor's empire had completely collapsed. His associates were in prison. His assets had been seized. His name was spoken only as a cautionary tale. "You did it," Henry said. "You really did it. You brought down one of the most powerful men in the territory." "He brought himself down," Clara said. "His own cruelty destroyed him." "Maybe. But you survived. That counts for something." "It counts for everything." Summer came. The garden flourished. Clara discovered she had a talent for growing things. Samuel discovered he had a talent for building things. Together, they transformed the cabin into something beautiful. One evening, as they sat watching the sunset, Clara took Samuel's hand. "Do you ever think about Mary every day? Do you think she would have liked me? I know she would have. She would have seen what I see. Someone strong, someone brave, someone worth fighting for." "What do you see?" Samuel turned to face her. His grey eyes were soft, warm, filled with a love she had never expected to find. "I see my future. I see the woman who saved my life. I see the reason I wake up every morning and the reason I fall asleep every night with a smile on my face." Clara felt tears building in her eyes. "I love you, Samuel. I love you too, Sarah." She laughed. "It still sounds strange." "Sarah, you'll get used to it." "Will I?" "You got used to me. You can get used to anything." Autumn brought changes. Clara started feeling sick in the mornings. She dismissed it as something she ate. Then it happened again and again. Samuel noticed first. "You should see a doctor." "I'm fine." "You're not fine. You're pale. You're tired all the time. Something's wrong." Clara knew what was wrong. She had known for weeks. She had just been afraid to say it out loud. "I'm not sick, Samuel." "Then what?" She took his hand and placed it on her stomach. Samuel went very still. "Are you saying—" "I'm saying
We're going to have a baby." The sound that came out of Samuel was half laugh, half sob. He pulled Clara into his arms and held her so tight she could barely breathe. "A baby. We're having a baby. Are you happy?" "Happy." He pulled back to look at her face. His eyes were shining. "I'm the happiest man alive. I thought I would never have this again. A family, a future, a reason to hope. And now I have everything, everything I ever wanted, everything I thought I lost forever." Clara kissed him, soft, gentle, full of promise. "What do you want to name them?" "If it's a boy, Thomas, after your husband. He deserves to be remembered." Clara's breath caught. "You would do that?" "He loved you. He took care of you. He gave you biscuit. Without him, you wouldn't be the person you are today. That's worth honoring." "And if it's a girl?" Samuel was quiet for a long moment. "Mary, after my wife. I would like that. I think she would have liked that too." Then it's settled. Thomas or Mary. Either way, they'll have a story to live up to. Winter came early that year. Snow fell thick and fast, covering the valley in white. Clara grew rounder. Samuel grew more protective. Biscuit grew confused about why his favourite lap was shrinking. One night, as a blizzard raged outside, Clara went into labour. It was hard, harder than anything she had ever done. Hours of pain, hours of fear, hours of Samuel holding her hand and refusing to let go. "I can't," Clara gasped. "I can't do this." "You can. You're the strongest person I know. You survived Victor. You survived bounty hunters. You survived death itself. You can do this." "What if something goes wrong?" "Nothing is going to go wrong. I won't let it." "You can't control everything." "No. But I can be here. I can hold your hand." "I can tell you that I love you, and I can believe with everything I am that we're going to be okay." Clara screamed. She pushed. She fought. And then, just as dawn broke over the mountains, a baby cried. "It's a girl," the midwife announced. A healthy, beautiful girl. Samuel took the tiny bundle in his arms. His hands, which had killed so many men, were suddenly gentle, tender, trembling with awe. "Mary," he whispered. "Hello, Mary." Clara reached for her daughter. The midwife placed the baby in her arms. She was perfect. 10 fingers, 10 toes, a tuft of dark hair, eyes that would be grey just like her father's. "She's beautiful. She's ours." They lay there together as the sun rose. Samuel, Clara, baby Mary. Biscuit curled at their feet. A family, a future, a happy ending that neither of them had dared to hope for. Spring came again. Mary grew. Clara healed. Samuel learned to change diapers and sing lullabies and function on almost no sleep. "You're good at this," Clara said one morning, watching him rock their daughter to sleep. "Better than I expected. I had practice. With Mary. My first Mary." His voice was soft, nostalgic, but not sad. "We always wanted children. We just never got the chance. And now I have a second chance, and I'm not going to waste it." Clara walked over and wrapped her arms around him, around both of them. "I never thanked you properly." "For what?" "For everything, for saving my life, for believing in me, for giving me a home and a family and a future, for making me feel safe for the first time in my life." "You don't need to thank me. You gave me just as much. You gave me a reason to live when I had given up." You pulled me out of the darkness and showed me that light was still possible. We saved each other. We did. Baby Mary stirred in his arms. Her grey eyes opened. She looked up at her parents and smiled. I think she's going to be stubborn, Samuel said.
Like her mother, and protective, like her father.
God help anyone who tries to mess with this family. Clara laughed. It was a sound she still wasn't used to making. A sound of pure joy, of unguarded happiness. What are you thinking? Samuel asked. I'm thinking about everything. The journey, the pain, the fear, all of it led here, to this moment, to you holding our daughter while the sun rises over our home. Worth it. Every single second. They walked to the porch together. The valley stretched out before them, green and lush and alive. The creek sparkled in the morning light. Birds sang in the trees. We should build a swing, Samuel said, for when she's older. And a bigger garden. I want her to learn how to grow things. And a fence around the creek, so she doesn't fall in. Clara smiled. You're already planning her whole childhood. Someone has to. You're too busy planning her wedding. I am not. You mentioned it 3 times last week.
I was thinking out loud.
Samuel kissed her forehead. I love you, Sarah Thornton. I love you too, Samuel Thornton. Biscuit barked from inside the cabin. Mary cooed in response. The sun climbed higher, and Clara Whitmore, who had once stood at a stranger's door begging him to take her dog, looked at the life she had built and felt a peace she had never known was possible. She had been running her whole life, from her father, from Victor, from fear, from pain. She had run until her legs gave out and her heart broke, and she had nothing left but a puppy and a prayer. But she had stopped running. She had found a man worth fighting for. She had found a home worth defending. She had found a love worth dying for. And in the end, she had found something even more precious. She had found herself. The woman who had once begged a stranger to take her dog was gone. In her place stood a wife, a mother, a survivor, a fighter, someone who had walked through fire and come out forged in steel, someone who would never run again. Clara took Samuel's hand. She looked at her daughter, she looked at her home, and she smiled, because this was her happy ending, and she had earned every single second of it.